So right, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. So welcome to WAGYU Films Podcast. This is the first video podcast that I've done. So
quite possibly the first time all four of us has been in the room
Yeah.
at the same time.
It may be our last. It may be our last one. So buckle up for this shit show. You better watch.
The WAGYU Films Podcast provides advice for filmmakers, movie news, and updates on the team's latest projects. Subscribe now to not miss out on future episodes. Remember to give us a like.
So we're moving into our second film, Patriarch, kind of a dark sci-fi thriller, kind of like Black Mirror, Stranger Things in a way. But so we're filming that in November. So really, we thought what would be not just good to talk about, but would actually be some good lessons. Is kind of like for any filmmakers out there. Our biggest either lessons that we learned from filming that we're going to take into the second film, or just what we didn't really expect. Do you know, like the common things that we think. And basically, what did we just look like idiots doing in the first one that we're going to pretend that we're not? Because at the end of the day, you're learning as you go in, isn't it, really, with this stuff? So we could prepared, but still things went wrong, still things you weren't prepared for. But yeah, so then we got a good one. Shall I go first?
I've got one.
Go on.
I've got one. One of my biggest lessons is there doesn't need to be 1,000 people on set. We proved that yes, there were long days. Yes, it was hard work, but you don't need £1 million budget just to pay off everybody. So everyone's got an assistant and stuff like that. You can make a feature film with 10 people.
Yeah,
you need your essentials. You need your cameraman. Your cameraman can double as your DOP and your lighting operator. You don't need 1,000 lighting setups. You can do with what you can with natural light, and obviously you work with the elements and stuff like that. But you can get some great natural light shots. But you don't need 1,000 people on set to make a feature film.
No, I reckon I think we were why we left making a film so long. I think is because we were a little bit of. Well, we can't do it. We bought into the myth. We have to have this kind of gear, and we haven't got enough people, we haven't got enough money, blah, blah. It's all nonsense, isn't it? It's basically, if you've got a camera and some sound and some people and to be in front of it, you can make something.
Well, it's the imposter syndrome, isn't it? You always think, you watch your behind the scenes with your favourite director and you go, well, I'm not him.
Yeah.
I'm not him. I don't have that backing. I don't have that confidence. I don't have that skill set. Whereas the reason why they're there is because they've made 1,000 shit films, and now they're at the point where they can talk to you about their £1 million budget and the fact that they've got 1 million assistants to do it.
Also people like fucking Chris Nolan, who's always like, and I like Chris Nolan's films, but people get too entrenched, like, I have to shoot on film because if I don't, the film is garbage. You know, it's not art if you don't get, which is fucking.
It's
shite.
all gatekeeping, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's just like if you were
do it like that.
Yeah, if you were starting off as a filmmaker, you wouldn't be like, well, I can only start on film. There will be some filmmakers that will waste money, probably putting on a credit card or whatever, buying fucking film. Don't need it. It's a marketing ploy.
The Room with Tommy Wiseau, who just spent how much money on buying film cameras?
Yeah,
and then converting to HDV. Yeah. Is that what it was? He's like, some were film cameras, some were HDV, and then it all got digitally. That was the thing, wasn't it?
I'm sure he just bought out. Instead of renting film cameras, he went out and actually paid outright.
Yeah.
Where no one knows where the money came from.
Leather jackets.
It's a conspiracy theory thing, but that's essentially what he did. And then because he believed that's how you do it, that's how he was told you.
Yeah, yes, it. And we were falling short of that ourselves, weren't we? Where we should have done things, even with our shit cameras when we started years ago. We just do something on a weekend or something, but we're just like, no, it's not good enough quality and all that. But if the story's good, end of the day, you just want something to get noticed. Just fucking
make something.
Just do it.
I think credit where it's due as well, though. I think it helped that there was good planning before it to make it as easy as possible for a small crew as well.
Yeah, that was. Yeah,
that was key because we had such a small crew.
Mm-hmm.
Good planning beforehand actually made it a lot easier.
Well, everything was storyboarded, everything was scheduled. We were in the middle of friggin' nowhere, so we had no internet signal, so we couldn't use the expensive software we paid for, so we have to print off everything. Everybody in the crew had the storyboard, so that everybody had the script, everybody... we tried to have something nearby where we can pick up everything we did. Everybody lived in that cottage that we filmed at. we try to cover our bases, but there's always something. There's always something that you learn, but it's not waiting for other people to tell you to do it. If you've watched anything of ours before, we're always saying that.
But it also made us more flexible on set. The fact that there wasn't so many of us. When you went, this isn't working.
Yeah,
we could sit down, make an amendment, and then there wasn't about 1 million people, teams to then communicate what's going on next. It's we sat, we evaluated, we changed things up, and we were able to do things quite quickly. So when in those rare occasions where the scene wasn't working, I could either make the adjustments from the lighting or film side, or you could make the adjustments with the scene or what's coming next.
The blocking most of the time.
That if in your head you were editing it as we were going, being smaller means you can be more flexible. There's always pros and cons, but I just feel that it was one of my biggest things is like you don't need shitloads of people to make sure that your film is done.
And kind of on that point, do you know that thing of you write the film 3 times, like you write the script and then there's supposed to be you kind of filming is kind of as you change things and then editing it. That was ridiculously true, especially when I was doing it. It was just like
you remember
the
walking
final
in
film,
on him and he was
nothing
crying.
Like the product.
He walked in after the skeleton and it went, a whole year of my life is wasted. This is shit.
Oh yeah, and that was actually going to be one of mine. Is just like I think you might have heard us talk about it before, but your first edit's going to be underwhelming.
That's the word you used. Yes, underwhelming.
It's going to be slow, but most of it is just because there's no sound or music on it, so it doesn't flow very. You kind of so many directors that you see to it, they actually have somebody else to put the first edit together rather than do it themselves, because they do just get disheartened. And so basically, you want an editor to bring you a first edit going off your notes. And then be like, right, that's not good enough. But that's through experience as well, I think. So like I learned so much through editing that it's like what to keep, what kind of, even when I write something now, I'm like, that scene's going to get cut. Do you know what I mean? It's like we'd film it, but it's stopping the pace of the film, or is it needed?
But it'll make the Blu-ray.
Yeah. Kickstarter coming soon. Hey. All right, do you have one, Keith? What was your kind of biggest lesson or thing out of the blue? Anything that kind of surprised you?
I think biggest thing that probably surprised me was, I think, just the weather was something that just hit us hard on that day. I mean, you can plan as much as you want. Really. The week was crazy hot. It was crazy hot.
For some reason, when filming, our only contingency is to make sure you plan for wet weather.
Yeah, especially in the UK.
We have no contingency for glorious, harsh sunlight
in the UK.
That ruins every scene from 11 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
You can get magic hour at the end of it. If you're like, no, I'm trying to do a death scene, as though it don't want it to look beautiful.
We just didn't think that working in the UK we would have to deal with some of the best weather we've had in a decade.
Yeah, and it was.
We had all the tarpaulin, we had all our rain gear, we had all the jackets for the cameras and everything else, but not for that heat.
It's the thing.
That
all
heat was
filmmakers,
unbelievable.
All filmmakers must be. What happens if it rains? Was not enough light, but the light was too hot. Even silly things like we were filming in the middle of nowhere. Is where the hell can we get more water? Because if you look at any of the behind the scenes of Older Gods, the cottage we stayed at, the water coming out the sinks was kind of brown. So
good to drink. Supposedly.
Was it?
They did say
it was nice.
It's just a colour.
Okay,
don't worry about it.
It's just natural water.
Yeah, do you see the sewage water? It's just shit. Don't worry about it. You can drink. You can technically drink it, but we didn't.
We didn't drink.
We didn't really think of. We did know there's one town over, but yeah, even that became a thing, didn't it? It looked searching for hours.
It was high tourist season, so everybody was out buying water.
Yeah,
because it was so hot. Every shop we went to, it was sold out of water. So I remember me, you, and Andy, Andrew Sexton. We ended up driving to some garage.
Yeah,
it was a random garage, and someone had bottles of water in there.
Yeah, he had a little
like an MOT
place, and he had little drinks dispenser.
When you're like
buy those.
It probably cost us about £10 a bottle of water.
I was going to say, when you're like an entrepreneur, it's
honestly,
just like £5 a bottle, lads.
He seen us coming and was like, I'm going to close shop today because these just bought all this water. But we needed it, and there was nowhere else in that town that had any water. So.
But that is a lesson going to the second one, because like we'll always plan for rain, but it's kind of like, what if it's ridiculously hot? Is that what do we do? could we go inside? Because there's even things like we were doing inside shots of the cottage, but we kind of blacked out the cottage, didn't we? And then it became
turned it into an oven.
Just turned it into an oven.
We did
horrible.
day for night, and some of the best hack to completely reduce your light spill from your windows is put tinfoil on them. And we turned an early century house cottage into a jacket potato. So yeah, you don't see a lot of behind the scenes photos from Older Gods simply because we were all dripping sweat, wearing vests.
We were going to have Keith had a really nice idea of having a photo book. So it could be something as like a memory, or we can even like give it to fans and stuff like that of all beautiful behind the scenes. But we all looked like sweaty bastards. It was just all vests, flip-flops, shorts.
I do want to revisit the book, but I will AI some pants on us and remove some sweat.
Very shiny guys.
Yeah, we had a handsome cast as well, so it's like we're all looking like sweaty, horrible messes, and Rory and Yans there with their glorious hair, freshened up with
not
makeup.
A drip on
not
them.
A drip on them.
Please give me water.
Strap me up with that camera rig, please.
Yeah.
Hang me.
But what are you, Scott? Have you got one, the biggest kind of...
I'd say for...
Microphone close to your mouth, Scott, come on.
For me, would have been, again, because we were in such a remote location, every time we've kind of had like a shoot, we're always in driving distance of somewhere to pick something up.
If there's an emergency.
Yeah, but in terms of like at the end of the shoot day, we only had one hard drive that we could put something on.
Yeah.
Transfer all the footage onto that hard drive. And I think we had like, was it your old laptop? It was just ridiculously slow just to kind of transfer. It was like a terabyte a day. And
yeah,
it would take
only
ridiculously long, too much.
Yeah, we only had X amount of cards that we could film on. So each evening we'd basically move the footage off, wouldn't we? As you say, onto a hard drive. But we'd basically be leaving it overnight, hoping it all moves over in the morning.
No cloud in the valley. No cloud in the valley.
Yeah,
no internet, no cloud.
I mean, it was lucky because I was having to drive back after every day anyway. So I would take the hard drive, drive an hour and a half, 2 hours back to the office.
Yeah.
Transfer it onto our network.
That's right.
And then from the network, we backed it up onto the cloud just to kind of, because I was panicking. We can't fucking ruin this film.
Well, it's just kind of pressing.
Kind of missing.
It's just that card pressing delete, isn't it?
Yeah,
clearing that card. Because I'm assuming bigger budget films just have endless.
Well, that's
cards.
it. You've got everything on site with like, if you've got more money, you've got backups
got
on site.
City,
You've got everything. But we didn't.
Well, even if we
didn't even consider.
It's less than that. Even if we did have a much bigger budget, we were still in the middle of fucking nowhere. So
it's no cloud in the cloud in the valley.
Where would we have done to go get another card if we needed one? If we did, so I suppose it's kind of what would we do next time?
I think you can get like just little mobile SIMs or something that you can kind of just have internet access. I think that kind of thing's a little bit more cheaper nowadays. So possibly considering that, but then that's again, it's just adding more money that we don't want to spend.
Yeah.
So we'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
We are pretty terrible.
How about next time we just don't do a remote location like that?
No. I think. We always put any penny we've got trying to put it on screen, aren't we? Just rather than anything else, we will scrimp on a bit. But that's what you got to do, really, if you want actually to bigger film and look any good, I suppose.
We just have to quickly explain how this podcast is sponsored by Filmware. Stylish but practical clothing for film crews, video producers, and lovers of movies. All profits also go towards WAGYU Films' next film, so you are both supporting the team as well as looking like an absolute legend. Go to filmware.store today to pick up your crew t-shirt, sweater, hoodie, or training top. Now back to the show.
Couple of my ones. Mine are actually not about the film. It's actually like afterwards. Like one is knowing that your release is just as kind of important as post-production. It's kind of like you should have teasers ready. You should have realize that you're going to have. This isn't just like I've put the film out there and see what happens. What will happen will be nothing.
Your marketing should start in your pre-production stages.
Yeah.
You need to be telling people about this film 2 years before this film's even released.
Yeah.
So you need to start thinking of creative ways to start selling it. You need to have creative ways of hooking people into your community, and then you've got to be consistent. It's just like with what we do with the marketing stuff. You've got to be consistent in informing people about what's going on with your film. Have your artwork ready. Have things ready. You want to be marketed, because if you wait until your final edit before you start going, hey, here's this film about.
And nobody cares. You got to really get people to go out of their way to watch something, especially to buy or rent something, because obviously when something first comes out, like when our film first went out, it was you've got to buy it or rent it, which has got to be a good reason to do it. Do you know what I mean? And that's not going to be put it out there with a nice. The days are gone of even if you've got a recognisable face actor with a poster. That used to be you had those two things, it would probably get seen by someone. It's not really the case anymore. So you can have. But we built and I'd argue that we didn't do that, so that kind of made us suffer a little bit because we didn't have years. But to be fair, we did have that quick switch. We were in it trying to make Patriarch. Fuck it, this COVID. Let's make Older Gods. Wrote in a few months, filmed it in a month, edited, but then had 12 months of editing.
I mean, it is just one more thing for you to do. But if needs must, if you don't do it, you don't do it. You don't do it. But it's one more thing for you to do. But it's an essential thing. Marketing your film is just as important as getting it made. So.
Yeah, and I think it's trying to find a niche. Do you know, like just trying to like film people, or if you made a horror film, it shouldn't be all horror fans. Where you kind of, but we kind of made a mistake a couple of times where, like our film was very much marketed as a Lovecraft film, so that's usually cosmic horror, mystery, bit slow. But occasionally it was seen as some ads or some was just like horror, just like jump scary, gory horror. And Older Gods isn't that. It's more of a kind of mystery, kind of suspense, a bit creepy. But then you would get reviews and things, which is...
this is the worst slasher I've seen.
Where's all the monsters? Because there is obviously we've got to put our...
God, I only saw one blood scene.
We've got to put our money shot in the trailer, which is the Scott's the monster coming out the fog type thing.
Or is it a monster?
Oh, what is it? It's a god deity. But that's a dream sequence, so it's not constant. So there's a lot of reviews going, "Hey, monsters!" So what are you going to do? So, but when we kind of niched it down to Lovecraft fans, you're still going to get some of them. That was going to be another one of my points, really, which was kind of you're going to get some criticism. Criticism's going to come. So it's kind of like you've got to remember the good. So I think Older Gods is kind of it's only 50-50. It's, as I say, it's a bit strange. It's like a film festival horror, should we say? There's kind of like emotional bits and mystery and creepy rather than just blood splat jump. There's a couple of bits of that. So as I say, some people are going to see it and some people aren't. Don't guess because some people, maybe including
you're never ever going to please everybody.
You will never please everybody. That's not the thing. And everybody has a habit of you'll get 9 good reviews, you'll have 1 terrible one, and that will be the one you remember.
That's the one that keeps you up at night.
So the trick...
That's the one that has waking up, sweating,
but
needing to find them on the internet.
But don't worry. So I'm gonna do a little experiment to help people... What's the word? Get used to criticism. No.
That one's
Please got a list of good comments. I haven't seen
Let me just tell you how brilliant Older Gods is. Real good. No, it's more what the internet is like. So if you go on IMDb, if a good trick is if you're getting bad reviews, but you are getting good ones, focus on the good ones, and the bad ones. I'm going to give you examples of why the internet is just full of morons. So, can we all agree that Shawshank Redemption is a reasonably good film?
Right? Yeah.
So, it's top of
the internet's are full of Scots. That's it. Full of Scots.
But okay. So
contrary, maybe.
So the trick is you go into IMDb, you find a film that you love that you know is good, and go to the reviews and click on 1 star. So Shawshank Redemption. Generally known as one of the best films ever made. Here's a couple of reviews that boring. All the drama of a falling rock. If I lived in the Victorian age, this would be a morality play, and both would be dead and forgotten by now. Brilliant stuff.
I love how you picked my comment to read first.
Yeah. Overrated. 1 star. It's not a bad film. It's just derivative and melodramatic. If it's not a bad film, why make it a 1 star? So
because somebody made them cabbage soup that day, and these.
And this is the thing with 1 stars. This one here. I've lost it. Impossibly overrated. Don't get me wrong. I like this movie just fine. I just don't understand how it deserves the heaps of rapturous praise it regularly receives from IMDb members. So why is it 1 star? If you like it, surely 5, 6. And I'm not saying Older Gods is fucking Shawshank. I'm just saying to the people out there, if you do actually get something where you're getting bad reviews, get a bit of, what's the word?
I honestly
get a bit
think,
of reference of what other people. Do you want to do another one?
No, I honestly think people put more time into complaining about things than they would ever to say, I like this. When they like it, they go, I like that. But they don't write it online. When they're just some sad people, and there are some sad people in the world.
There are very much
just
some
sad. Someone hurt them. Someone hurt them, and they need to let it be known in the comments section. That's all.
Do you know a bit which is really annoying about... do you want to know The Godfather? Godfather's a good one. Can we know The Godfather all right? Not
I like The Godfather, yeah.
Massively overrated. I continually fail to understand why The Godfather's hailed as the greatest movie of all time.
I think this is the same person.
They're not. This is just what IMDb
Is that Scott Bishop?
Scott Bishop
/27.
Well, there's also a thing on IMDb. Do you know when you get your average score? Because Older Gods is usually around 5. It kind of goes up 5, 6, 4. But if you click on reviews, it says 7.4 unweighted, which basically means from all the reviews we've got on there, it's a 7.4. But if you're the kind of guy who reviews, the more reviews you do and the more you use their website, the more weight your review has. Yeah. So if a couple of these guys come in and just slate your film,
that's you done. Yeah.
So don't worry about your fucking average score. Don't worry about. Concentrate on the good. And there's some goods that you kind of look at and they give constructive about, like, if only we'd done this, and you're like, yeah, I understand that. So take what's the word? Not criticism, feedback, good feedback from people who usually those guys who have said good, and then there's a little bit of what I'd improve.
The shit sandwich.
Yeah, the shit sandwich. So they're the ones that usually take on board going, yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean, we had a good run with sending our stuff out to some podcasts, and the podcast would watch it and review it, and they were great to listen to because they were horror fans, they were cosmic horror fans, or they were just film fans, and they would sit there and they would give their honest opinion, saying it's not a great budget. We could tell it was a low budget, but I really enjoyed the story. I thought the acting was good. So take out, you know the flaws in your film. You know what you were able to do. You know it's not going to be a perfect film at all that's going to please everyone, but if someone sits there and it's not your mum, it's not your missus, and they say I enjoyed that, take that and run with it.
Well, that was that's another thing. Going back to my point of making sure you niche down who you kind of target the film at, because the podcasts, the bloggers, the influencers, a lot of critics as well. To be fair, kind of critics like we got the New York Times give us a really good review. Any critics, because it's kind of that bit different and a bit. Not arty, but like it's very kind of film festival crowd horror. So any critics liked it. Anybody who's like a Lovecraft fan tend to like. But it was the kind of the guys that was generally giving it a go because the trailer and the podcast looked interesting. Sometimes it wasn't the film they expected, and they say something bad about it, which is fine. Do you know what I mean? But it's again, my point is not. Don't get upset about it. It's going to happen. The trick is concentrate on the good. See what actually is constructive criticism, which was the word I was looking for. And so it's going to happen. So how are you going to deal with it? You don't have to read every frigging review. You kind of read the ones that you've organised and got in touch with, and try and set up talks with people. We did really well. We're in a bunch of million bloody podcasts. So you can promote yourself well for not millions. You're going to get that, but that does mean you're going to get some criticism along the way from people who didn't get your film. Which even I remember going back to right at the beginning of Older Gods, I remember us making sure it's a film that would please a film festival crowd, because that's how we would get distribution. We'd got onto Amazon Prime and Apple TV and Tubi and all them, because they ask okay, you haven't got this star in it, but what other have you got? So if you can say, well, we've won literally dozens of international film festivals, which probably means it's all right, then they kind of, it's a tick box to get distribution with them. So so that's why. Well, if we're trying to get into film festivals, we can't do the go quiet jump, go type film. But that's what we're going to do on Infernal, isn't it? Our short, we're doing our anthology film.
Yeah,
we're going to do
stuff.
some of that just to do something fun.
One other one.
Go on.
So if you're planning to sell your film and you're going to get it put onto platforms like Amazon Prime or anywhere you're going to be able to rent and buy, understand that your film's going to get pirated. And
that's one of my pirates are going to pirate.
It's just a realistic thing that's going to happen, and in a way, it's not actually a bad thing.
It's actually kind of a compliment, because they
because
find it so good that they're going to pirate it. It's just you're not going to make money off of.
I remember the day when it happened, and it coincided with the fact that we were on the featured list for Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
and so they obviously do like a scrape through the website or something of like the new film.
Well, it's all Apple.
But it showed that we were
not Apple. Sorry, it's Amazon. Do you know, remember we used to look at like the file names? Of
it's all from Amazon.
It's all, so for some reason Amazon security is crap, and
I think they expect it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, they don't care.
But I think they enable it. Yeah.
For me, I just saw it as like a good thing, because it shows that there was a demand for it in a way, and I think we try to stop it from happening, but it's just you close one off and there's thousands more that pop up.
Do you remember one day? I don't know if this is the point you're about to make. Do you remember there was one day where in the top 10, the top 10
downloads for
pirated films,
we were
like number 7,
yeah,
and everything above it was Star Wars or Marvel.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And we were like, bloody hell, that's cost us millions.
yeah. But if you go back to if you're talking about like the comments and criticism and stuff, I remember reading through the comments of like the people who've downloaded it, and it was really honest and genuine feedback. It's like, I can't believe these guys have done this from like a low budget.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't being assholes about it. They were actually being really kind of like, maybe I would have changed this or that, but it's like, all right,
you didn't
that's
pay
cool.
to watch it.
Okay. Well, if you believe in karma and you did pirate Older Gods, why don't you go and give it a good, a nice review on IMDb?
We don't mind not being paid. Just put a nice comment down for us.
And if you didn't like it, keep your opinion to yourself. Go fuck yourself. No, sorry.
The thing is, it was free on like Tubi,
yeah.
So you could have watched it for free.
Yeah, watch it on
there.
Tubi.
Oh,
we actually get.
Is it still on Tubi?
Yes, it is.
Did we not take everything down?
No, there was a part where we didn't, because we just made it so it's basically only rent and buy because that's obviously when you launch it, and then kind of like our way of acting against. Because when you get on Amazon, one thing you got to know, when you get on Amazon, free Amazon, like that Amazon Prime Watch. I think even in January, which is a couple of years since it came out, I think we got something like 300,000 hours.
Yeah.
Where you're like, bloody hell's a lot of it, and you're looking, it's like it was like a few hundred quid. It was literally, you want to keep it buy and rent. I think the only time we're not really bothered about it being on Amazon Prime, obviously we want more people to watch it and see it, because that helps us promote our
next
second
one
film. So hopefully if anybody likes Older Gods, they'll look out for what we do next. But then Tubi for free. So it's kind of a good release. If you haven't got cinema and stuff, a good release sequence, that's kind of lesson learned is, excuse me, you only have, so obviously for a time it's only allowed to get it if it's rented or buy.
Mm-hmm.
Then once you kind of, those numbers start dwindling, you realise, then you put it on Tubi, Apple Prime, YouTube, Apple Prime,
coming soon.
Apple TV. Well, Apple TV is rent actually. It's not. It's Amazon Prime and Tubi, which are the two subscribers can watch for free, and we get better. But that's the ones where it's not about. It's more of a long term thing. You buy and rent is where we got our spike of got our money in the budget and did well out of it. When it becomes free, you don't really get much. Tubi's not bad. It's better than Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime's really again it's millions of hours when you start, but 300,000 hours in January and you get made about £1,000 tops. And you're just like, Jesus, for 300,000. So that's when we were like, if usually I saw that and taken it off, but now it's just let everybody have a chance to see it who hasn't seen it. But yeah, that was my Pirates are going to pirate. So prepare for that, because it was kind of
emotionally prepare for that.
Yeah, because
I got so excited when I found out about it, because it just meant that we made it, guys.
I was panicking.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck! But then as soon as we saw that top 10 and we were 7 below Marvel and Star Wars, I was like, that's well cool. You know what I mean? It was that was horrible. But yeah, if you've pirated it, A, give us a review. B,
pre-order the DVD.
Kickstarter. We're going to have a Kickstarter for the special edition Blu-ray DVD, and go to filmware.store, which we're sponsored by.
Buy yourself a t-shirt.
And get yourself a t-shirt. That goes towards our next film. That's fair. Would you say that's fair?
I think that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair. Any other final thoughts? Anything that we kind of before we wrap it up? Has anybody got a good one that they'd like to?
No, I think we've covered quite a lot there.
Yeah.
I think that's enough for you today.
I think our last one then is more kind of, there's no excuses for your film. So one big lesson of ours, like when you come to people seeing and all that, do you ever show people your film and like when you're a student or something, and you find yourself talking all the way through it? You're like, no, I'm going to change that. And the reason why that happened, you can't do that in a film. So like, for example, Older Gods was a huge achievement for us, produced on a very small crew, about 10 people, filmed over a couple of weeks, during COVID, in a bubble, but we can't put that on a disclaimer at the beginning of the film. So in 10 years' time, it's got to be judged off its
If you imagine the Star Wars scroll of
just
kind of
please,
right, just before you do watch it.
Reasons why there's not a million monsters. So it's one of the, and that's kind of like, I'm very proud of Older Gods and still, but it's one of those where if you're kind of thinking, well, I can tell the story or give excuses for why it's a certain way, you can't. So keep working on your film until that excuse is fixed, because your excuse will be irrelevant 10 years later. Do you know what I mean? Like, if anybody's a Blade Runner fan, the amount of shit that Ridley Scott went through to produce Blade Runner, he was always going to be filmed, he was always going to be fired 3 or 4 times. He went through it, but to be fair, he ended up with a masterpiece. But the fact is that you can't see it. Do you see what I mean? It's always any kind of excuse you think you're going to have to explain. What you have on film, you've got no excuse for. So keep working on it until it's right. Really?
Cool.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I don't know.
No, I think
more was coming then.
I know, I was excited.
I think just one more thing I'll probably say is just so you guys, if you guys like this and you'd like to see more of it, I think it's more, I don't want to be one of those guys saying smash that subscribe button, but it's more, you know, if you've got any comments about the film, anything that you'd like to touch about, leave us some comments. Leave some comments in it, because it'd be nice to interact with you guys who've watched the film and want to get to know a bit more about us and WAGYU Films.
Or if you are a filmmaker, leave some comments that are helpful to other filmmakers.
Short films, feature films, leave a link and we'll watch them.
Yeah.
We'll watch them, give you honest feedback. Live and direct.
Yeah. So, well, thanks very much. You can judge if this was a shit show or not, our first video podcast, but I think it went swimmingly.
Let's see what the comments say first. See if we get any bad reviews.
No, it's when the audio hasn't been recorded the whole time. That's what. Well, thanks so much, guys. Have a good one. Subscribe. Keep it WAGYU. All that nonsense.
Freeze frame.
Are we still going?
So long.
How long did
it's still recording. It's still recording.
Is anyone?
There'll be like 2 credits.
Is anyone smiling there?
I was.
I'm grimacing. Mate, go fuck yourselves.
Oh, you ruined it. Every fan that we gained.
I just lost them.